Okay, so there's a report going around that Robert Saleh wants to be more quicker and more exotic on defense for the 2025 season. Now, what does this exactly mean? So, Tony Pauline talked to Niners coaches at the Shrine Bowl practice, and these coaches outlined what the plan is and hopes are for 2025. And a major priority will be to increase the team's speed on defense, specifically in the secondary via the draft and free agency. There is also a cry to be more innovative on defense. The team was criticized for being too vanilla on defense and never moving away from the base package. The belief is that they will be more exotic next season and throw in a lot of more wrinkles and surprises. So, obviously, kind of decoding what Tony Pauline's reporting here. You know, Talanoa Hufanga is a guy that runs a 4.64, and that was before he tore his ACL. He's not a quick safety whatsoever. He's very physical. He's not really a ball hawk. Charvarius Ward, obviously, I think the expectation is that he's on a different team next year. And obviously one of the potential top suitors for the 49ers in free agency is former fifth-round pick DJ Reed, who absolutely is more quicker and more physical than Charvarius Ward is. Now, DJ Reed's not necessarily like a ball hawk, but he's a guy that's going to bring speed to the secondary. Robert Saleh, during his tenure with the 49ers, loved five-man pressures, and he liked man-to-man coverages on third downs and whatnot. And I think if you bring in a guy like DJ Reed, I think the 49ers will feel a lot more comfortable in playing man-to-man on third downs and in certain situations. And then, obviously Talanoa Hufanga, I'm a guy that would prefer to re-sign him. I think Hufanga's definitely one of the sparks of this defense. However, there are some other safeties out there like Javon Holland that could be a little cheaper than Talanoa Hufanga. Javon Holland's much more quicker than Talanoa Hufanga. And I think the biggest thing here is that, Saleh never coached Talanoa Hufanga. The 49ers drafted him when D'Amico was the defensive coordinator. So, Hufanga could be going elsewhere. Now, obviously, when you look at some of the other guys, Diamador Lenore is more of a quicker guy, very good in man-to-man. Malik Mustafa, super quick, probably the quickest defensive back that the 49ers have. One of the quicker defensive backs that the Niners have. And I think when you look at a guy like Malik Mustafa, I think the 49ers could very well look at him as a potential Talanoa Hufanga replacement. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see how, I guess, what type of players that the 49ers bring in, because I definitely think there's going to be changes in the secondary. If they want to play, if Saleh wants to be more quicker in the secondary, there's going to be some odd guys out. Again, I think Malik Mustafa is a guy that the 49ers think very highly of. After the Niners played the Detroit Lions on that Monday Night Football game, week 16 or something like that, Amon-Ra St. Brown went on his podcast and talked about how Malik Mustafa flies around the field. He hits like a truck. And that's kind of what you want in a safety. Now, obviously, Hufanga can hit like a truck. I mean, he's a very physical, safety, but he's not good in coverage. He's not quick. And there's been a lot of times where the 49ers have been burnt over the top because guys like Talanoa Hufanga are a little too low to kind of keep up. And there's been a number of times where we've seen that. So, obviously, like I said, Javon Holland could be a potential replacement for, could be a veteran potential replacement for a guy like Talanoa Hufanga. But I think the biggest thing is that if you want to be quicker, you got to make changes in the secondary. And I think Saleh knows that. I think Saleh's going to do that. I think the 49ers are going to bring in guys like DJ Reed during free agency to make this secondary kind of fly around more. And then obviously in terms of being more exotic, I think the main thing to take away from that is under Nick Sorensen last year, the 49ers didn't really switch things up when things weren't working. it seemed like Sorensen was kind of in this bubble that he was comfortable with, and he didn't want to kind of step outside the box and throw in different blitz packages and different coverages and whatnot. And, I think throughout the season, when the 49ers defense struggled in certain games, they just kind of slowly drained and eventually lost the game. So obviously Saleh, with the knowledge that he has and just with his experience and, how he coached this Niners defense and, when he was here, 49ers flew around the field. Obviously you have two cornerstone linebackers and Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner. There's no doubt in my mind that Saleh is going to be adamant on the 49ers retaining Dre Greenlaw. Greenlaw and Warner are the best linebacker tandem in all of football. Both very good in coverage. They fly around the field. Dre Greenlaw is actually very underrated in coverage. So definitely think that's a guy that the 49ers are keeping without a doubt. I think they're going to do everything in their power to keep him. I don't see how Robert Saleh, there's no way that Robert Saleh lets the 49ers practically let Dre Greenlaw walk. Like, they're going to bring Greenlaw back. I think Saleh knows himself how important he is to the defense. He obviously makes the defense much quicker. Greenlaw's a guy that flies around the field. And same with Fred Warner. Obviously, Fred Warner, I don't even have to talk about that guy. I mean, without a doubt, the number one best linebacker in football. I mean, he's a prototype linebacker in the NFL. Fred Warner is exactly what you want in an NFL linebacker. Yeah, I mean, again, I think for the secondary, I mean, Malik Mustafa is a guy that I think could get a lot more playing time if, Hufanga walks. Again, Charvarius Ward's not going to return. I think he kind of made that known during his locker room cleanouts. And they're not going to cash out at two cornerbacks. Obviously, even if Charvarius Ward is a little cheaper than I think what the 49ers originally thought, he's not quick. He's not a super physical corner. I think you can get DJ Reed cheaper, and he's more physical and a much faster corner than Charvarius Ward is. So it'll be interesting to see who they bring in and whatnot. I would definitely keep an eye out on Javon Holland of the Miami Dolphins. He's set to be a free agent. Holland is a guy that is very good in coverage. And I definitely think that when you look at a guy like Javon Holland, I think, number one, I think the 49ers defense gets much faster. Obviously Holland has ties to the Bay Area. He went to high school in Oakland, ran a 4.47 at his pro day in 2021, and obviously would immediately come in and be the 49ers' fastest safety. Obviously, he can also cover the top tight ends in football, man-to-man. That's something that Jimmy Ward could do under Robert Saleh. Jimmy Ward was almost like another linebacker out on the field for the Niners during his time here. Super good in man-to-man coverage, could hit. Wasn't a crazy ball hawk, but, the 49ers, I think, cherish and kind of value more of a physical, faster defensive back than more of like a ball hawk. So, I think Javon Holland is without a doubt a guy that the 49ers could sign. He's going to bring a similar skill set to Jimmy Ward that the 49ers have. He'd be a cheaper, than Talanoa Hufanga probably would be. Safeties simply make less money anyway. Plus Javon Holland hasn't been a Pro Bowler yet, so I don't think he's going to cost the 49ers more than that they could afford. So Holland should definitely be one of the top targets for the 49ers in free agency. And obviously, if they can pick up a guy like him, then they can kind of veer off and figure out, improving their defensive line and their front seven during the draft and free agency, really. Which I think during the draft, which I'll get into who I think the Niners will kind of target at pick 11 and whatnot. But I definitely think it's probably going to be defensive linemen. Saleh's going to have say in it, in who they draft in free agency and or not draft in free agency, who they draft during the NFL draft on the defensive side of ball. And I definitely think you have more value going defensive line at pick 11 than you do like offensive line or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, we will see what happens. But again, I think, there will be changes to the secondary. I think the Niners are going to bring in more, physical, quicker safeties and cornerbacks, obviously aside from Diamador Lenore. And then obviously, from there, you get faster and quicker like that. I think this 49ers defense, can kind of return to similar play style to what they kind of did under Saleh in 2019 and 2020 when they went to the Super Bowl. So they obviously have a lot of work to do outside of secondary, though. But I think getting faster and quicker corners and defensive backs and safeties and whatnot, that's a good start. Because obviously, I think the biggest thing with the 49ers from the Saleh era, during his first stint, was how quick the defense just flied around the field. So again, there could be a couple odd guys out, like Talanoa Hufanga, a guy that's not that quick, but is good. And again, I definitely I want the 49ers to retain Talanoa Hufanga, but I also trust Robert Saleh. And if the 49ers elect to not retain him and to not keep him, and they sign a guy like Javon Holland or whatnot, I mean, I'm not going to be surprised because obviously, according to this report, they want to get quicker, more exotic. I'm not going to be surprised, and obviously, I think at the end of the day, I trust Robert Saleh and getting the right players for his scheme and whatnot. And as much as Hufanga might be a spark to this defense and a one of the better safeties in the league when he's playing, if he doesn't work in the system that Saleh wants to run, the Niners will move on. And again, I think there's a couple teams out there that could pay Hufanga more money than what the Niners might pay him. And again, a guy like Javon Holland, even Malik Mustafa, those are guys that probably fit the Robert Saleh defense a little more. They bring speed. They're good in man-to-man versus tight ends and whatnot. And, they don't really get beat over the top too much. So I'm all for this defense becoming more exotic and I'm all for the defense becoming more innovative. So yeah, I mean, obviously we'll see what happens, but I definitely think there will be some changes to the Niners defense. There's going to be changes in the secondary, on the defensive line. And a guy like DJ Reed, again, don't be surprised if Saleh brings back a lot of familiar faces like DJ Reed and Javon Kinlaw. Solomon Thomas, the former 49ers third overall pick in 2017, could also be a guy that the Niners sign and bring back for this whole Robert Saleh scheme to make the defense quicker and more exotic and whatnot. So we will see what happens. But again, let me know what you guys think of this report. Again, the 49ers aim to be more faster and more exotic on defense under Robert Saleh. Obviously, if Hufanga leaves, let me know in the comments down below who you guys would want to see the Niners sign for his, replacement. And yeah, as always, go Niners. I'm pumped for this new defense in 25. It's going to be revamped. It's going to be more quicker, more disciplined. And it's Saleh's a guy that the 49ers needed. And they got him. And now, obviously there's going to be changes and this defense is going to look a lot different. Should be a lot better, especially with him, being more disciplined and this defense potentially being more innovative and things like that. So we will see what happens, but yeah, let me know what you guys think of this report in the comments down below. Who do you guys think on defense will be the odd one out? Will it be Hufanga? Will it be some other guys on defense? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, go Niners, and I'll see you guys in the next one.